Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metsa. For any of you that have been listening to my radio show for the past almost 15 years, you know I love my fellow Minnesota musicians. And we have Jeff Dayton on tonight, one of the finest guitar players to ever come out of the North Star State. We're going to hear his whole story tonight. And if you want to know right off the bat how good this guy is, he was Glen Campbell's guitar player. And Glen Campbell not only was a beautiful singer, but was one of the finest guitar players to ever record and appear on recordings and television shows over the years. Jeff's up doing several shows up in the North Star State, and we're happy to have him on for the whole show tonight. Jeff, welcome to the Wall of Power Radio Hour.
Thank you so much, Paul. This is great to be back home and great to talk to you.
Where do you stay when you come back up to Minnesota?
Well, I spent a fortune on hotels until I found out that I had family that had room for me. So I'm actually bunking up in some really good digs here.
Well, that's nice. Now, when did you, before we get into your backstory, when did you move down to Nashville?
I actually, you'd have to go back another chapter because my life has had three geographical centers. I lived here in the Twin Cities till about age 25, and we can talk about those days. And then in 79, I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and that's another 21 years, right? And then I've been in Nashville since then, so 26 years in Nashville.
Wow.
And long enough to figure out that it's a great town. It's the best music town in the world, I think. I mean, Minneapolis is a great place, but you know, we all recognize that Nashville's got the best players. I mean, it's unbelievable who's down there.
Well, and it's got the industry like, you know, like no other city in the country, maybe this side of Los Angeles, and probably even these days more. Plus, if you're a bachelorette and you want to have a party, Nashville's the place to go.
7 days a week, they're down there just woo-hooing.
I went down to visit my buddy Billy Alcorn, who you probably know.
Oh my God, Billy! Yes, long time friends and housemates for a while too.
Oh, cool. Well, you couldn't throw a rock without hitting a bachelorette party, and after bumping into so many of them, I almost wanted to. But that's beside the point. Tell us about your start here in Minnesota, when you got into music, and when was a young Jeff rocking in bands in high school or before?
It was before, actually. I was rocking a stringless ukulele when I was about 5 or 6 years old and jamming along with everything that was musical. And I knew that I wanted to do music even at age 5. I really did. My dad, George, played guitar, and I remember his closet door was open one day, and leaning down between the shirts and the shoes in his closet was a guitar outside of its case. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I wanted that right away. And by the time I was 12, I had a little band together with some guys from around the west suburbs here, and went down to Marshall, Minnesota. Well, before that, even I was playing around the Twin Cities. I got in with Kevin Odegaard.
Sure.
You know, and all the stories surrounding Kevin and our days there. You know, but in Marshall, we brought a great bunch of people up to the Twin Cities. Gary Rue was a Marshall guy.
Sure.
Billy Alcorn was a Marshall guy, although he's from Walnut Grove. And just always putting bands together, always scraping the dirt for work, you know. And I was just telling the guy that's trying to put new keys on my van, I said, I don't have or no money. I said, I've had to scrape the dirt from under the fingernails for every dollar I ever made. So
hey, I gotta ask you, what kind of guitar did your dad have in the closet?
I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know. But I have seen old 8mm. I have seen 8mm movies, and he was playing a gold top Les Paul.
Wow.
Yeah, from the 50s there somewhere.
Whatever happened to that one?
Yeah, don't you wish you knew? You know, either Pete Alanoff got it or Jeff Hill did.
Oh, yeah, right. I know both those men. May they both rest in peace, by the way.
Yeah, right, indeed. Yeah, and I did a lot of vintage trading even back then. just guitars were cheap, and if you made $100 on one, you felt like a big dog.
Right.
But Jeff was my guru. I mean, he was the coolest guy ever, and everybody loved Jeff and Newt Coupe. And if you just mention Newt to Minnesota people, everybody gets a smile.
I was wearing my Newt Coupe T-shirt yesterday.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah. I was doing a session several years ago with Al Oikri, a keyboard player, who's playing with me actually on August 22nd at Moe's 20th anniversary in Mounds View. Also a really good guitar player. And Bob Scoggin, you probably bumped into Bob somewhere along the way. And we were talking about all the guitars we all ruined in junior high woodshop.
We should still be doing time for those crimes.
Mine was, I refinished a beautiful 66 Gibson Melody Maker with that beautiful brown sunburst thick finish. Scoggin, we took it down to a natural finish because I thought that was the way to go. Scoggin destroyed a 1963 ES 335 Cherry Red, took it down to natural finish. But the biggest culprit of that particular storytelling session, Al Oikri had his grandfather's factory green 1959 Telecaster.
No way. He
finished. Yeah, that thing's worth about 70. Had he had it and kept it green, I Googled it, would have been worth about 75 grand now.
Oh, that's crazy. I remember going to Newt Coupe and I bought a 1960 Dakota Red Fender Jazzmaster.
Wow.
And it was really, really a cool guitar. And I paid $75 for it, but there was a crack in the headstock. So Jeff could charge me $20 to glue the headstock. I had $95 in it. And the first thing I did was pull out the pickups and swap out the bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Put a brass nut on it. And it's just like all those crimes against good guitar nature.
Crimes against humanity, really, when you as a guitar player. So when you started playing, what kind of clubs were you playing back in the day in Minneapolis, Jeff Dayton?
Well, let's see. I remember, we played in Marshall. We played at Cal's Cave and some of the joints down there, the Eagles Club. I played the ballroom circuit with Larry Rolland and the Countrymen. And thanks to our buddy Russ Paul, I had a steel guitar, a pedal steel. And so I could play electric and steel, and I was kind of in demand. And you play these ballrooms where it was beer and setups, and then the band would play 3 sets of country, and then play the last set was 50s. Man, we cut loose.
Yeah.
And then moving to the Twin Cities, the first gig we had was at the Bullpen in Hopkins.
Okay.
And it was next to I forget what it was next to, but anyway, it was a strip bar until 9:00, and then at 9:00 it switched over to bands, and so there was a little stage where girls would dance around topless, but we had a singer in the band named Terry Lee Taylor who married Gary Gratz from from John what's the name of that music school, McPhail?
McPhail.
Yep. And anyhow, it took us an hour to clear out the guys that were screaming for Terry to take her top off during our set. And then we played a place in Knollwood called the Royal Court, and we were booked by Ralph Alpha. And, we had an agent named Bill Hughes, and we played the first night.
I knew Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew Bill.
So with the second day, we're down there at the club practicing during the day, adding new songs to the set list. And Bill calls up and he goes, "Guys, the club hates you and you're fired," and they're bringing in the white sidewalls. And right then, in from the back, start loading in the white sidewalls, and they're looking at us like, we're debris, like we're flotsam and jetsam, And ever since that night, Bill would always say, "Sorry about the Royal Court, guys. Sorry about the Royal Court."
I did a gig years ago at 7th Street Station in St. Paul that was a long time strip club. The guy calls me up. I didn't know much about it. Never went there to watch the girls dance. And so I was going to do my, folk and blues thing. The only problem with that gig, Jeff, was the owner forgot to tell the clientele that it was no longer a strip club. And now they were going to start having musicians.
No,
So,
Lord.
that was a tough first set. A lot of guys in overcoats.
Yeah, it's like, you're now suddenly you're like one of those fluffy animals on a rail and people are throwing softballs at you, at the
pretty
state.
pretty much. What was your first gig right in downtown Minneapolis when you hit the big time?
Well, actually, I remember just as you were asking me that, my first really big gig was at the Whole Coffee House
Wow.
in 1971, and I had met a couple of guys down in Marshall who were playing the folk and acoustic music circuit. And one guy from Texas thought I was terrible. I played him a couple of my songs and he stopped me right in the middle. He said, "Stop, your songs are terrible. You should just quit and never do this. Find something else to do." And a couple of weeks later, a guy from Toronto came through named Michael Hasek, and he said to me, "Not only do I like your playing and your singing, but I love your songs, and I want you to play with me tomorrow night." So we played down at the college that night, and then he called me in December and he said, "I've got a gig at the Whole Coffee House and down in the basement of Kaufman Union." And I was there. I was only 18 years old.
Wow.
And I didn't know till later that Bob Dylan had played there. And I'm glad I didn't know, And we had a wonderful fiddle player. And I talked to Michael a couple of weeks ago because he's still around. And I said, I think it was Mary Duchesne on the fiddle.
Sure.
A young Mary Duchesne.
And Mary's still around.
Well, tell her I said, hey, I bet she remembers that night. That was a pretty big
She's my Scorpio sister. We always college. We're within a week of each other, our birthdays. So we always chat. I love her to death, and just a marvelous human being and a great fiddle player.
I think the other next big gig would have been getting to play the Guthrie Theater with Peter Lang. And,
wow.
We played on Peter's Back to the Wall album, the band that I was in with Gary Lopak and gosh, who else was in the band at that point? And he got the gig, and there we were. Butch Thompson was on piano.
Man.
And it was such a band. It was really, really fun.
What was your, were you primarily self-taught, Jeff?
Well, yes and no. But the old country boy said, "You have trouble making up your mind?" He said, "Well, yes and no." The schools that I went to, I did play legitimate music. And I was in the drum section in high school, elementary school and high school. And down in Marshall, I was in the string orchestra playing the cello. And I was also studying guitar. And then, playing music 5 nights a week or 3 nights a week, whatever it was, you're going to learn it. So I was always, watching or listening or something. I remember watching Dale Strength. I got to tell you quickly because my heroes. Sure. In 2015, I organized an event at the Poorhouse called the Minnesota Guitar Summit, and it was 3 of my heroes were there, and I got Dale Strength, and I got Zippy Kaplan, and I got Lonnie Knight, and Dale was my Jeff Beck, and I remember seeing Pepperfog playing Situation from Jeff Beck. And I was just like floored. I mean, it was like Jeff Beck came to town. And Lonnie was my Joe Walsh, and Zippy was my Jimmy Page.
I honored to know all those, man. And may Lonnie Knight rest in peace. One of the sweetest guys, and probably the best all around in terms of acoustic and electric players in town. He could do both equally well. Jeff, you sent me 3 songs. We're going to listen to one now. Pick one, and we'll play it, and then have Jeff Dayton on for the whole show.
Okay. Why don't you pick one? Because sometimes it's easier for you to just hit play.
Okay. Well, let's listen to this one.
I'm an old piece of driftwood laying on the beach. Ain't no hope of rescue, ain't no saving me. I'm an old piece of driftwood laying on the beach. I'm a shipwrecked pirate, victim of love. The way that woman did me, left me all washed up. I'm a shipwrecked pirate, one more victim of love. If I ever make it off of this godforsaken shore, I swear I ain't messing around with love no more. Yeah, I'm an old piece of driftwood laying on the beach.
You're back with the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metsa. My guest for the whole show tonight, Mr. Jeff Dayton, guitarist extraordinaire. Jeff, tell us a little bit about that song Driftwood we heard at the end of the first segment.
You know, I wanted it gritty and real, but I also have a tropical side. And I was looking at a picture of Driftwood on a beach, and I thought that's a little like somebody after a bad relationship goes away, you know. Sort of like the shell of what used to be, and the weathered condition of your heart.
Sure.
And, so it's right in there. And that's my buddy Dave Matchett, great harmonica player from the Blues Center of Detroit, Michigan. He lives down in Florida now, and he does the tropical circuit with me.
Now, tell us a little bit about the KO band, Kevin Odegaard. We become very good friends, and marvelous guy. Of course, played guitar on Bob Dylan's "Tangled Up in Blue" on his best-selling record, "Blood on the Tracks." But when did you hook up with Mr. Odegaard?
Well, I didn't know about him. I was going down to Williams Pub. I was living in South Minneapolis and taking the bus to the U. I think it was 20 cents back then, and I lived in the Wedge and just really enjoyed Williams. I thought the music was great, and there was a hippy dippy guy playing old Texas songwriter stuff in there one night. He had a ponytail and a Gibson acoustic, and he was playing all the songs by Texas guys with three names, like Ray Wiley Hubbard and Jerry Jeff Walker and all these people. And I went up to him. We chatted for a while on his break, and before he went back up, he said, there's a band that's auditioning, looking for a lead player, and you play electric and you play steel and you play acoustic, and you ought to try out for the band. And the auditions are over at ASI Studios. And so I went over there with my steel and my Gibson SG. I had a 62 Gibson SG special with a piece in it. Of course, that's gone. That one I really wish I had. And we ended up jamming on Cinnamon Girl. There had been quite a cattle call that night of guitar players, and I think the guy's name was John Ems or something from Colorado, who had just been in before me. But Kevin liked the fact that I was freewheeling and we were having a big time, and I got the gig. And I had to quit the band I had already said I would play with, was a band leader named Jim Van Buskirk.
Wow.
And I think Jim started Computer Renaissance, which morphed into Play It Again Sports and Music Go Round and all that. And he was mightily pissed when I told him I had another gig, but I understood. We were going to be playing the Blaine Brook Bowl and doing Rainy Night in Georgia with tape recorder sound effects. And
sure.
Kevin was talking about the big time, So we got that going, and Bruce McCabe was in the band, and the guy from Williams Pub was Billy Hallquist.
Wow.
Our dear departed friend. And he's really why. I mean, he introduced me to the people that introduced me to the people.
Yeah.
I mean, playing with Kevin, I'm with Bruce McCabe. I never knew him. I mean, I remember seeing Lamont. He had played with Dylan, and then Bobby, our drummer, who was only 18 or 19 at the time, ended up jamming with this kid that came into Moon Sound quite a bit named Prince.
Right.
And borrowed that SG from me. I think that the guitar might be on Soft and Wet on the first album.
Wow.
And I mean, a lot of connections were made because of that. And when
of course, you're talking about Bobby Rifkin, known as Bobby Z, and Prince's Revolution.
And David, his brother David Rifkin, was our engineer, and Owen Husney was Kevin's manager. So all the names from those days. And I remember playing Williams, and Kevin had a Rickenbacker guitar and a Tremolux, Fender Tremolux, which is 2 10s and 35 watts. And he would turn that thing on 10. And Williams Pub was not that big a room. And David would come up to Kevin, he'd go, cut it in half. Famous story.
I played Williams Pub every Tuesday night for 4 years in the early 80s with my band Cats and the Stars. And you remember the great club owner, Bill Warner, who ran that.
Bill was a good guy. He treated us well.
he was loyal. He kept me working even after Cats and the Stars. He kept Dave Snaker Ray working, and he kept Eddie Berger working. Not only did he have Williams Pub, but he had the Artist Quarter over on 28th and Nicollet. And he started a place downtown called Rossi's Blue Room just before he passed. Just a lovely guy. He used to walk around in his suit coat and sunglasses. And
he put a lot of people on his stages.
Mary Travers, Mose Allison.
You know, another guy that was really good to me back in the days after Kevin was Paul. Was it Stark? What was his name?
Paul Stark.
Well, Paul was the guy from Twin Tone, but no, the other Stark that had Mr. Nibs.
Oh yeah, I played Mr. Nibs. I don't remember that guy's name.
Well, his name was Stark, but because he had another club down in Egan, I think, called Stark's Halfway.
Okay.
And he put us on a lot of stages. But, you know, the Twin Cities. I have a podcast called Count It Off, and I talk to people about our scene here in the Twin Cities and all the things that were going on. And right in that same era, I was playing in the University of Minnesota Jazz Ensemble with Scott Sansby, our wonderful drummer friend.
Sure.
I played with Leon Russell and a vibes player named Dave Hagedorn. And Dave was putting together a new band of high school kids called Sussman Lawrence. And I got to see them over at, was it Duffy's at 24th and 25th?
Oh yeah, but they played a lot of times at Williams Pub.
I was at their premiere, and when you and I first met, and Kevin called every musician he knew to come to St. Louis Park to do the tribute to Bob Dylan, and it was you, and there was this long-haired guy playing the B3 and just having fun like a puppy dog all over it. And I said, "Who are you?" And he said, "Jeff Victor." He said, "You were in Sussman Lawrence. I was at your debut." So
that was a great tag. That was a kind of Blood on the Tracks live that Kevin Odegaard put together at Wolf Park in 2010. That was a great band. It was Lonnie and I, you, me, Kevin, Peter Ostrushko, Peter Lang.
Yeah, Billy Peterson.
Joe Loma, my drummer, who I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
And
so many great guys.
Yeah, and then
Gary Lopak, of course, and
Gary Lopak, Matt Fink on piano. Yeah, that was quite a night.
Really
but
fun.
Bill, let me tell you Bill Warner's story. So Bill opens his club, which is now Hell's Kitchen. He has Cassandra Wilson as the debut act at his new club, and typical club owner that he was, I walked. The place was jam packed to the wall. I said, Bill, what's the capacity of the club here? He goes, 160. I said, how many people do you have here? He goes, probably about 250. Spoken like a true club owner, get every damn dollar he could.
Yeah. I'm going to pass along one of our booking agent for Glen Campbell was named Roger Adams, sweet guy. And we were somewhere and something was going on. And he said, "Whoever said the show must go on must have been a promoter."
No doubt. Hey, well, let's jump right into that. How did you get the gig with Glen Campbell?
You know, it's the same way that I got the gig with Kevin. When I talked to Billy, I was going to say, what was it? Why did you pick me why did you tell me about this audition? He said, "I just thought there was something about you, and I thought you'd be really right for it." And I was in Phoenix. I moved there in 79. It was raining cowboy hats. Urban Cowboy was big. We were doing all the tunes because we had a fiddle player and I played steel in Minnesota. So when I got to Arizona, I dropped right into that slot. We had a #1 record on KNIX, which was a huge deal down in the Valley and all over the Southwest. We were opening concerts for everybody. And we happened to be opening a big concert for Alabama and the Judds and Merle Haggard. And there was Glen Campbell backstage wanting to meet me. And The next night, he's at a private event for Jack Nicklaus that we're playing up in Carefree with my band and 2 fiddle players that night. And I invited him to sit in. And then 3 days later, he gave me a phone call. It changed my life.
Wow. So what was your first gig with Glen?
I think it was the NFL Hall of Fame up in Green Bay.
Wow.
If it wasn't that, it was the John Deere's corporate headquarters in Moline, where they flew us up there in their Gulfstream G2.
And what year was that, Jeff?
87.
87. And how long did you play with Mr. Campbell?
Until the early 2000s.
Wow.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff on YouTube. He was a phenomenal guitar player.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I remember my wife at the time was at a party and she met a producer's wife, and the producer's wife said, "Well, what is your husband doing?" She said, "Well, he plays with Glen Campbell." And the lady said, "Well, Glen Campbell doesn't need a guitar player." I said, "She's right about that."
Did you ever have a chance when you weren't doing gigs to just sit around and play with Glen?
A lot. Yeah, a lot of backstage stuff. A lot of, just having fun with songs. He loved to go over songs.
Yeah.
That seemed to be, when he wasn't performing, he was combing through material, and Jimmy Webb was automatically on the short list.
Yeah.
But he'd listen to stuff from all sorts of people, and it just was so cool how open-minded he was about that.
How many nights a year was Glen on the road?
And it's a hard question to answer because nobody's got that set schedule. That I think
Right.
we probably did a couple hundred for quite a while. I mean, something right around in there. I think I did, all told, maybe 4,000, 4,500 shows with him.
Wow.
And we got to play the Today Show on July 4th. They were outdoors in New York on a Friday morning. We got to do TV shows in LA. We got to play the Cowboy Hall of Fame in Oklahoma City, where I'm
Wow.
sitting across from the Lone Ranger, sitting between Sam Elliott and James Garner. I mean, who gets to live this life?
Right. Now, were your mom and dad alive when you got the gig with Campbell?
Yeah, they were.
They must have loved that.
Yeah, in fact, one night I was Glen's conductor as well, and so we had a gig for the Dinah Shore Nabisco LPGA event down in Palm Springs, and Glen and I flew over there from Phoenix, and my dad was living in Hemet, California, and so he got on his motorcycle in a tuxedo and drove over the mountain to Palm Springs to see me, because it was a black tie event, and I'm up on stage and I'm conducting Les Brown's Band of Renown, which was Bob Dylan's personal band. We're doing all these Nelson Riddle jazz charts with Glen, and I'm up there with Vic Damone and Andy Williams, and my dad about lost his stuff,
Yeah.
He was, and my grandmother was the same way. She just loved that I was, when I played the Minnesota State Fair with Glen, or I should say when Glen played the Minnesota State Fair with me, and gosh, what was in the late 90s? My grandmother was right there in the grandstand, right as close as she could get, just happy and cheering.
My boys finally made it.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, and all the people that you've known coming up, the cool thing is when they come around, like the guy who had the band at the Bungalow where Gary Lopak and Hans Bjornson and Jim Plattis and I all played, the guy was a high school science teacher from Hudson, and he came to see us at a concert somewhere, and he was just beaming, and that's when it feels good.
Yeah. Now tell us about where your shows are going to be happening here in Minnesota.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got a private show, a corporate thing, Saturday the 25th in the afternoon, and then we're over in St. Louis Park at Wolf Park Amphitheater. 6 to 8 o'clock with the Jeff Dayton and Friends group. And then Wednesday, the 29th, I'm in Wayzata at the Historic Depot with the Music by the Lake series. And then we go up to the fabulous North Shore on the 31st and the 1st. I'm bringing up a great band, and I've got Glen Campbell's drummer, Tom Benton, coming over from his place over in eastern Wisconsin, and I've got none other than the amazing Tommy Barbarella on keyboards.
Wow, another Prince protege.
Yeah, and he's a super cool guy. I mean, he's so cool. And then we're in Maple Grove on August 3rd, and a couple of other things that are private events. And then August 8th, I grew up in Long Lake, Minnesota, and I get to headline Corn Days at St. George's Catholic Church.
You made it. You can retire now, Jeff Dayton.
There'll be about 80 people then. I'm like, oh, this is bigger than the Coliseum.
That's top of the hill. We're going to listen. Jeff Dayton's Live My Truth, and then have him on for the rest of the show on the Wall of Power Radio Hour. I'm really enjoying this, Jeff.
Thank you, Paul.
I don't walk straight and narrow. I don't care if people stare or not. No, I don't need no criticizing. People try to change my mind, so what? 'Cause I can't wear somebody else's shoes. I can only be me, win or lose. So walk with me, stand by me, and live like we like and we love. We'll ride the tide with sails on high, fearless and reckless and tough. I dance like I feel it, I call it like I see it, I sing like I was born to do. Don't take me for granted, I stand where I'm planted. Look at me, just relaxing on a beach, with nothing on my mind at all. Been watching the sand crabs crawl. Lemonade, big umbrella in the shade, grooving to a potions tune on a perfect afternoon. Yeah, I'm chillo, floating on a feather pillow, living on island time.
Hey, you're back with the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metsa. We just heard a little bit of the song Chillo, written by my guest, Jeff Dayton. Jeff, tell us a little bit about that song.
It's basically I was working with some kids in the Minnetonka School District, and I was trying to say chill, and then I was trying to say chill, and mellow started coming out, and it came out chillo. And the kids were like, "That's cool. That's a cool title. Can we write that?" And I said, "Let's do it." And that's where the song came from. And believe that's a list of guys on that record, by the way. That's Brent Mason on guitar, Scotty Sanders, Mike Rojas, Lonnie Wilson. We were doing the record, and I said to Lonnie Wilson, he was producer and co-writer for Joe Diffie, and played on everything by everybody, And I said, "How many number ones have you been on, Lonnie? This is like legit Nashville number ones." And he said,
Right.
120 number ones and 400 or 500 top tens. I said, "Brent Mason, how many number ones have you been on?" And somebody across the room goes, "All of them."
Those guys are just sitting by their mailbox waiting for the mailbox money.
Yeah, and they're such easy cats to play with, because you don't have to, sometimes you have to shape guys up a little bit. You've been there, and everybody's doing their best, and sometimes suggestions are helpful to some players, but these guys don't even need suggestions.
Yeah.
They'll hear the song and they go, "I know exactly what this needs," and kabam. And Brent starts playing guitar, and you go, "There's the record."
Yeah.
There it is. It's everything that George Strait's done for the last 40 albums, every Alan Jackson record. Brent, Brooks and Dunn, just amazing player.
What it must be fun living in Nashville, bumping into the old cats, and I'm sure you have. Tell us some stories about, do you bump into Charlie McCoy or any of those cats?
Yeah, I did Hee Haw with Glen Campbell, and Charlie was in the house band. He was the band leader for the Hee Haw band. And on electric guitar, sitting just over to his side, was Leon Rhodes from Ernest Tubb and the Texas Troubadours.
Wow.
Well, for the last 14 years, I've lived in a neighborhood where Leon was my cross the street neighbor.
Wow.
And he's gone now, but Judy's still there. And you can't turn left in Nashville and not hit amazing people.
Right.
Walking through the airport, and there's Del McCurry, the great guy, Russ Paul, our friend Russ from Maple Plain.
I want to talk about Russ. Tell
Well,
people
Russ
about
used
Russ.
to go to breakfast with, Lloyd Green, the steel player, and all these
Sure.
guys every couple of weeks, and with, our buddy Leon. And Russ loves the history, that kind of thing too. So there's so much of it, and I love talking stories with people.
What do you do? Are you still a gun for hire? Do you do
Oh, yeah.
sessions or okay?
Yeah, in fact, some people walked up to me. I play the state fair every year. I don't get paid, but I just do it because I love meeting people. And a couple came up to me. They're from up there in Mille Lacs, and they're called Leaving Pagetown.
Yeah,
And it's Tony and Cindy, and they've got they have a heart that shows right through their shirts, And they were like, "We really like what you're doing," And I said, "Well, if you ever want to come to Nashville," well, they did. We wrote a song, and it's
nice.
It's their current single, and they're just out there playing and having a major time,
Good for you, Jeff Dayton. Taking care of your homies.
Well, it is fun, and it's part of what keeps me active. I love we have a saying, keep what you have by giving it away. And
That's a great line.
yeah, at some point I'm not rolling in the dough by any means, and I haven't got a wicked guitar collection, but I do have enough experience that if people want to chat about what they're doing, yeah, give me a holler. The only thing I don't do is rate songs, because that's an ouchy kind of place to go. But I love to encourage. And
What is Jeff? What's your website?
JeffDaytonMusic.com.
Easy. That's easy to go to.
.com. Yeah.
Now, do you bump in, besides Russ Paul and Billy Alcorn, do you bump into a lot of Minnesota musicians in Nashville?
In fact, I'm playing in a group called Garfunkel, Manilow, and Campbell.
Yeah, you tell us about that.
Tab Lavin, who's a Minnesota boy, and his first gig was with Mary McGregor, Torn Between Two Lovers, and the next thing you know, he was playing with Michael Johnson, and then he stumbles in Nashville, doesn't know anybody, and he meets one guy, and ends up getting the call from Art Garfunkel. He's been with Art for 26 years. And we do the music of our bosses. So I do the Glen Campbell set. He does the Simon and Garfunkel, and our friend Eddie Kay does the Barry Manilow stuff. And also Eddie's a hit songwriter for George Strait and others. And so we're playing the Franklin Theater down in Nashville on the 19th of August, and we'd love you to stop in. Historic place down in downtown Franklin. But I do that. There's so much more to do. And I'm working on a book. The book's called Half Full and Overflowing, based on a song of mine. I'm still working with kids in the schools every year. This is going to be year number 17, I think, with teaching the kids what we call making music Nashville style.
Jeff, I really admire your flexibility, and you've got your foot in a lot of different places. Using your musical expression. What, when you're looking at the long view, your life, because we're lifers, which is one of the reasons why I love having my radio show. And, you probably love your podcast to talk to lifers. Best describe a life in music. Mel Torme's title of his autobiography, they called him the Velvet Hammer. His title of his autobiography, it wasn't all velvet. So, how tough the music business is. When we were chatting to set up this interview, you were on the phone booking the gig. You're the road manager, you're the booking agent, and you're one of the star players in the group. It's a lot of work, isn't it?
It is. I say it's hard work to go get work, and then you got to go work hard. Yeah. But it's still good. I love doing what I do. I love meeting people. I love expanding my horizons. Let's do it. Let's do some more. A couple of months ago, I woke up having a dream and I was like 18 again. And I had started playing guitar and I was writing some songs and I got with a buddy. We wrote some songs and we started jamming in the garage and some girls came around and pretty soon we booked a gig and I woke up like, let's start a new band, you know? Actually, you know what lit that fire was I got to go to San Diego thanks to a very generous friend and go to Humphreys on Shelter Island and see Ringo Starr with Steve Lukather on guitar.
Wow.
I mean, all the others were great. Steve Bissonette on drums and you name it. But it just, or was it Chad Bissonette? I forget. I think it's Steve Bissonette. Greg Bissonette. There we go.
Okay.
But Luke, man, and it made me want to start over and put a new band together and go find some obscure bar in Minneapolis and just play that stuff 5 nights a week, you know.
What do you, Jeff, what do you listen to when you come home from work? Or do you just read or golf or garden?
I don't play golf. I mean, I'm actually wearing a golf shirt, which is ironic. This is a gift from my wonderful Uncle Ben from the Mill Reef Club down in Antigua. I do a lot of work with other people in different parts of life, and sometimes helping people find something solid to hold on to on a churning sea. You know, I got to go down to Eric Clapton's Crossroads Center on Antigua and sing for the people that were there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's the place that all the Crossroads guitar festivals and the auctions are going to fund. So, you know, being part of that and, man, I don't know. I watch a lot of movies lately. I'm turning into kind of a geek for movies that so-and-so has been in. And, oh, yeah, he was in that one too. And, you know.
Right.
I think COVID started that. I like to read. I have a stack of books that were written by friends, actually. And, you know, I'm hoping to put mine on the pile at some point.
I'll send you mine. It's, I think you'll enjoy a lot of Minnesota, Iron Range, Minneapolis history.
Oh, yeah.
And a little time in Nashville when I was down there recording with Bucky Baxter and Gary Talent in 92.
Oh, I know Gary from the Box Tops.
I know Gary from the East Street Band.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I actually know Nils a little bit too. He used to live in Scottsdale. Maybe he still does.
Well, we've just got a few minutes left. Speaking of Nils Lofgren, a phenomenal guitar player. You're a phenomenal guitar player. I know you've got more than 3, but today, who would say are your 3 favorite guitar players?
Well, I'm on a big Lukather kick right now. I've always loved Eric Johnson. I mean, just
Eric Johnson, he's stupid good.
Yeah. And I also like a really clean acoustic player, Brian Sutton, who is one of the best. I mean, there are people who make a career out of being flashy. Tommy Emmanuel's amazing. Billy Strings is amazing. I love bluegrass, and I love country, but I don't know. Maybe a jazz player, you know, maybe George Benson.
Yeah.
You know, George just blows my mind. Still blows my mind.
Jeff Dayton, it's been a wonderful conversation. Track down Jeff's gigs on jeffdaytonmusic.com. Give us one for any of the young musicians out there that want to get into the biz. What's Jeff Dayton's advice from an elder of the tribe?
Well, hang around with really, 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 really good people until you get a shot. One of my favorite things I did was that the Guitar Summit, and I found 2 of Minnesota's best young ones. Mikey LaSousa was a year away from graduating at Egan High School, and he ended up doing 4 years at USC on a full ride guitar scholarship, and then was touring the world with Remy Wolf, who's a big artist. And the other is our own Dylan Sulphur. He was only 16, just burning the strings off of that thing. He blew up my friend Brian Paulet's 2-rock amp. He was just having too much fun. And, you know, I love watching guys like that do it. My current favorite protege is Sam Ryden, Ryden, an amazing folk singer, old school, old heart, you know, old soul. And he's with me at most of these shows. So, you know, look him up and give him some love.
Jeff, I love this conversation. I'm hopefully can catch one of your shows. We got to hang out and chat some more. I could talk all night with you, but
Yeah.
you got to get back to work and get your
Work.
well, whatever you're calling it these days.
Yeah. Yeah,
but,
and real quick, I got to give a shout out. Pat Donahue had me on his
Oh
show,
yeah,
St. Paul, and he reached out to me out of the blue, and I was like, "You have no idea how cool this is, man." So we
yeah.
can get with Pat too, and a couple, Tom Lieberman. I don't care who. We just get a bunch of guys together and be rascals.
Love all those guys. Jeff, have a wonderful evening and good luck with your Minnesota shows.
Thank you so much, Elvis. Paul.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, love you, Minnesota.
Cool. Thanks for listening to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. The show is produced by Paul Metsa, engineered by Patrick Lulia. We'd like to thank our guest, Jeff Dayton. Track him down, see where he's playing at jeffdaytonmusic.com. I'm going to be doing a big show with the all-new Paul Metsa Group on August 22nd at Moe's in Bondsview for their 20th anniversary. We're playing from 4 until 6:30, and the new Primitives are taking it home that night. It's going to be a great weekend celebrating Jeff Baritko's Moe's Mounds View Restaurant. You can track me down at paulmetsa.com. And like my dad used to tell me, remember to be kind and make someone happy.